Some people as hired guns make a very good living.
Oh, yeah.
Very good living. Sometimes better than if you're in a full-time band. Welcome to another episode from Takedowns to Breakdowns, first episode of 2024. Happy New Year to all of you watching right now. Thank you very much for giving us your time. And we're starting off the year with some drama from last year. Because at the end of last year, Arch Enemy announced that Jeff Loomis is leaving the band and they have a replacement. Which caught me by surprise, I must say. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And if you're going to announce it, why not wait until the beginning of 2024? Kind of start off like a new sleigh, like a clean slate. So that kind of caught me a little bit off guard. But I think what caught me more off guard was some of the comments from people. I should expect people to be at their worst in these situations. But
well, especially online, right? You know?
Yeah. The funny thing I find about this is that a lot of people, I'm not going to say fans, I'm going to say a lot of people, right, in general, felt that Jeff Loomis was a wasted talent in Arch Enemy. He's a great songwriter, he's a great guitar player, his talent is being wasted, he's not given a platform for him to exercise his own creativity. You know, keep inserting lines similar to these, right? Which, you know, that's your opinion, but nobody's pointing a gun to his head. So if he's in the band, he's there because he wants to.
Yeah.
So he's obviously at least comfortable enough to be there and have a paycheck and whatever. Like, I never really understood those kind of comments, like people feeling sorry for him. Like, he's not there against his will. He's in the band out of his own free will. So I never understood that. Now the band announces that he's departing and they have a new guitar player and people are like, oh my God, I can't believe they got rid of him. Like, you know, why did they get rid of him? Like, he's such a good guitar player. Then, like, what a big mistake to get rid of him. The same people who were criticizing him for being in the band and not exercising his creativity are the same people now
maybe it's
complaining about the band letting him go. So maybe I'm a little confused.
Maybe it's like, they're complaining because they're like, he's too good for the band, but then it's an insult that they kicked him out. Yeah,
and I don't know the dynamics. I don't know if this was a mutual...
Yeah,
I don't know the dynamics.
I don't even know if they did kick him out, or if he was like...
Or maybe he just said, you know what, like, enough is enough now. It's time for me to go and do something on my own. And I don't know the dynamics. I just thought, like, this is one of those situations that people just kind of want to be mad at it, regardless if it was the situation before or the situation after. And I don't really find that either one brings anything to the yard whatsoever. I don't know. I just find it a really weird situation.
Yeah.
Were you shocked with this news that he's leaving, or?
Yeah, it was only shocking because it was something that it's something you're not expecting.
No, for me it came out of nowhere.
Completely left field. But you know, people leave bands all the time. It's not like a new occurrence in the metal world. But I just don't know what like you said, you don't know the dynamics. Me neither. I don't know whether he left on his own accord or what's with it. It's just people going crazy over speculations.
I think people just love drama.
Yeah, but I love drama too, though.
I know, but this is kind of drama that you're kind of fabricating without...
Well, they're fabricating
without drama. Really knowing what if there is even any drama. I always felt like he's a great guitar player, no doubt about that. Could he have done more or added more to Arch Enemy? Yes, but did he want to? Was he okay with what he brought to the table? Do you really know for sure how much did he really add?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're not there during the creative process. You really don't know.
Exactly, and especially because you don't know how him leaving the band, how it happened. So you don't know either whether it's him, wanting to leave because of certain things or other things. There's a lot of unknowns. So it's just people kind of creating their own, this must have happened, without having kind of just like stone proof of what did.
And I also think when you join a band, either be Arch Enemy or any other band, when you're joining a band, you know that the band belongs to someone. It's someone's band, right? So when you join the band, you kind of know, like, what you're getting yourself into, because there's a discussion between the parts about, hey, we would like to have you in the band, and this is what you're going to get, and this is what we want from you. And then if the parties are are comfortable with one is getting it with what one is giving, things move forward. I don't think anybody gets into a band kind of blindsided by, expecting one thing, getting another, and especially if you stick around for a slew of records. It's not like he did one album and he was gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was shocked with the news because my impression was that he was comfortable. Like, this is a band that I'm not the guy, and maybe he didn't want to be the guy. He just wanted to be a guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe for a period of time, this is like, okay, this is kind of like what I need. You know what I mean? I kind of just want to be a guy. I don't want to have the pressure on me. I just want to have a gig, and this band is a steady band. Like, they're touring, making records. So maybe it was a sense of comfort for him at that time. At least that's the impression that I got from the outside, considering the talent that he has, and almost feeling like he was taking a secondary role when almost in any band that he would join, he would have a primary role. But you don't know the personal dynamics that led to those. I mean, there's just so much that you don't know.
Yeah, so
that jumping into assumptions is just completely foolish.
Yeah. It's hard to make your own kind of view on it when you don't really know what's going on. You only know a little bit of the story.
And they brought a guy that had taken over for him. They did some tours where he couldn't perform or he couldn't be a part of, so they brought in. I think it's Joey Conception that they brought in to fill in for on those tours, and now they're bringing him in to fill in for him. And once again, I don't know if this is going to be like a hired gun situation where they bring him in because we obviously need a second guitar player.
And he knows what he's doing.
He can play the old shit, and and we don't need much as far as new shit is concerned. We just need a guy that's going to play. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what the dynamics are going to be going forward, but whatever they are, it seems like all parties are happy with it, and that's all that it really matters. I don't think that this is going to create a drastic change as far as arch enemy sound is concerned. I think the arch enemy of today is going to be the arch enemy of tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're just swapping a guitar player. And if you're swapping a quality, like a high-end guitar player with someone that's perhaps not at that same level, you may not even feel the difference because it all depends on what input one had versus what the other one is going to have.
Yeah.
If neither one of them had like a very profound input on how the music was made, then you just need a guy that's going to play. Like, that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah.
It's not like It's not like when they changed from Angela to Alyssa.
Yeah, that's
a completely different story.
That creates eras. This, I don't think it will.
It creates eras, and there's a huge
gap.
A huge gap in terms of style, in terms of personality, and I think it also creates that perspective that what are we going to get from this going forward? Is this something that we can build upon moving forward, continuing the legacy of the band? I think it opens a lot more questions, because it also is a position where the input, delivery, lyrics, I mean, there's a lot more that comes with it. So change to me was a lot more maybe drastic is not the right word, but it's a lot more, or could be a lot more impactful.
Yeah, it's more impactful change than guitar player switching.
I think it leaves a lot more question marks. Like when Alyssa joined, before the first record came out with her, I think there's a lot more questions that change is going to have to answer versus this change right now. I honestly don't see this as... I honestly don't see this rocking the boat.
Yeah, I don't think it's changing the band whatsoever.
I don't see this rocking the boat. Now, from a musician standpoint, I asked Asim this question when I talked to him, because he filled in for Epica for Mark when Mark was expecting a baby. He couldn't do 5 shows of the tour, so they had Asim fill in. And I asked him the question about being a hired gun versus being in a band full time. And he said he prefers to be in a band full time, because then you feel like you're part of the band, and you add to the creation of whatever it is that the music, the art, and all of that stuff. And when you're a hired gun, you're just a hired gun. You get paid to come in and play. Keeping that in mind, how do you view that coming into this position? Because it's you're always going to be the new guy in the block, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, being in the band definitely it allows. It's weird to say, because being a part of being in the band, like, let's say live wise, because that's what this is going to affect mainly until a new album is out. This is going to affect the live portion of Arch Enemy. I feel like live-wise it's different. It's always going to be different if you're a hired gun or if you're a main dude in the band, because chemistry-wise, I think when you're in the band, and especially for a longer period of time, you're able to be as one, as Asim said. You're one of the band, right? So it plays different when it comes to chemistry on stage and even off stage, creating music and stuff. Being part of that band, you're part of that brain. You know, you're one in that brain. When you're just a hired gun, you're just there. You're like a taxi driver. You know, like.
I know, but you could be a member of the band and not have any input in what the band is doing. Which at that point, are you not just really a hired gun? You may not have that title of a hired gun. You're considered a member of the band. But if you have zero input, like using Asim as an example here, when he was with Wintersun.
Inter Milan
Son. When he was with Wintersun, he wasn't a hired gun.
He was part of the band.
He was part of the band, but he had no input in what the band did. So technically, he was a hired gun, wasn't he? Like
no, because a hired gun is you're not guaranteed a position. Like this position will always be an open position, even though you're currently filling it. That's what the hired gun status is. So you're the way you play and how you conduct yourself around the band members will impact how far you are, how much you will stay with the band as a hired gun, or if they allow you to become part of the band. When you're part of the band, you're just part of the band. But that does bring up a good question: is if you aren't in the creative process, what are you? Right?
That's what I'm saying. But because technically, at that point, you're a hired gun.
You're a hired gun, but like
if you show up at the end, regardless of who you are, the bass player, the drummer, obviously normally it's those. It's not the lead singer or the main guitar player. But let's say the bass player. If you're in the band and you've been in the band for 10 years, 5 records, whatever the case might be.
You have no creative.
No, you just show up to the studio when your time comes in. Okay, show up to the studio, record your bass lines, and you go fucking home.
I feel like
is that much of a difference? I don't think there is that much of a difference.
The only difference is the chemistry with other band members. That's it. So having that like, you know, having that brotherhood with the band or whatever.
But you could have that as a hired gun. Hired gun doesn't mean you're hired for one album or for one tour. There's guys who are hired guns for like 2 records.
True.
Kyle from Invicta. He's a hired gun guitar player for Heathen, not for the records, but for the tours. And he's been in that job for 3 years now. So does that make him? The chemistry is there. He's touring with them. He's playing shows with them. So does that, like, being that hired gun, or being the guy who just shows up and plays what he's told to play, even though he's a band member, like, is that much of a difference?
Damn, no.
I don't think there is.
No, there's not much of a difference there.
I don't think there is.
Not much. Even like the smallest amount of creative impact is like, I don't know, man. I think
if you're the guy that brings a riff, for example, whatever, and the guys tell you, shut up and play what we tell you to play.
You're a hard gun. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you've been there for 10 years or not. I mean,
oh my god!
Like I think we're just kind of window dressing this with a different name, but at the end of the day, that's what
you
are.
But if you're a guy and you're like, hey, my part doesn't sound what you've given me doesn't sound that good. Can I change it into this? And they're like, yeah. Then you're kind of in the creative.
But then you may not have a big part. Like you didn't write the song, but you contributed to the writing of that song. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you have...
Or if you're giving some freedom within your part to do certain things.
Exactly. If you have control over your part, or if you have that freedom, and you're a hired gun, it's a weird... Damn, it's a really weird... It's a weird question, and it's a weird answer. Like, there's actually no answer to it. Because you can't fully say that, this person... It's kind of like being a hired gun, because in a way it's not. But in a way it is. It's the kind of pregnant... It's a kind of pregnant question.
Yeah, to me, I think a lot of guys don't. Some guys would like to be a hired gun, but one thing is when you're a hired gun for touring.
Some guys that's
their whole life is they've been a hired gun.
Yeah.
But I think it's different when you're a hired gun for touring, right? When a band hires a guy to do drums, to do bass, to do guitars, whatever the case might be. And you know you're doing that for a 1-year period or 2-year period, whatever that tour is. Things work out well. Okay, we're going to bring you back on the next tour. I think it's different because you know you're showing up and you're playing a song that you had nothing to do with. You didn't write the song. You didn't contribute to anything. Yeah. All you have to do is play the song live. So I think that type of hired gun is a little bit different. But I think if you hire a guy to be part of your band because you need a drummer, you need a guitar player, or whatever. But you're hiring him to record this album and then obviously do the touring. But that person had zero impact on the creative process behind the music. Then you're technically a hired gun. It's just that you're not just hired for the live stuff. Now you're hired for the studio stuff. But you had zero input either
and then
way.
If you're the guy who's a 10-year veteran in the band and yet doesn't do anything song-wise, you're still kind of a hired gun.
I think so too. And once again, it all comes down to what the person feels comfortable.
Yeah, but I think
within their role.
I think if your input, if you're in a band and your input is not at least taken into consideration, then that kind of puts you into the hired gun category.
I honestly, going back to the Jeff Loomis, I always looked at his role in Arch Enemy as a hired gun. I always looked at his role as that. Because I feel like I could be completely wrong, but I never saw his musical input having a huge say in what the Arch Enemy sound. It's Aamott's band. Everybody knows that. It's his band, it's his creation, it's his baby. So I don't see him as the kind of guy that would allow a lot of people creative freedom to do whatever they want to do within Arch Enemy. There's boundaries.
True.
Everybody has their role, and that's kind of how it works. So I always looked at Jeff Loomis as a hired gun because I also felt like a band like Arch Enemy can't just have Joe Blow come in and play guitar. Like, if you're going to hire somebody, you're going to hire the biggest gun available kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The guy that has a name, the guy that has a reputation, that can come in and feel comfortable surrounded by other big names or by an equal big name playing guitar, not be necessarily in their shadows, but also doesn't necessarily rock the boat. So, and I'm not saying Jeff Loomis was a hired gun. For all intents and purposes, he was a full-time band member. But when I look at the writing on the wall, when I look at everything, I kind of always looked at him as a hired gun.
They're all hired guns in the end, then.
When it's your band, then you kind of decide who goes and stays, and you own the rights to the music and to whatever. Technically, everybody else is a hired gun at that point.
Fuck.
You know what I mean?
It's like those the trend like 2 years ago. Is it cake or is it real? Is it a hired gun or is it a band member?
No, but because it's one of those things that nobody really wants to talk about. Because
it's
I
true,
think some people.
I think Winterson was the perfect. Winterson was the perfect band to talk about there because technically everyone was a hired gun. It was Yachty's thing,
and I think now more than ever, when Yachty makes posts, for example, about how Winterson, the band members, and he mentions Kai and he mentions Yuk, he mentions them. I think it's disingenuous. Yeah. I honestly feel like it's disingenuous because I think the band is him.
The band is him.
Everybody else is a hired gun that could be replaced on tour or in the studio by somebody else if they're not available.
Although hard.
I'm not saying that who you're replacing with has the same quality of the other one. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that they're all replaceable, but him, because he's the guy making the music.
Exactly.
He's the guy making them. And I'm not saying some of the guys don't have some creative freedom within a song to like a solo here, and I'm not saying that's not the case. But the meat and potatoes of the song is
all
him.
Yachty, yeah.
So I honestly feel like sometimes the same situation with Temo in Megadeth. He's a hired gun. It doesn't matter if he becomes a full-time fledged member of Megadeth. Megadeth is Dave Mustaine. Everybody else can come and go, and they've come and gone. He owns the band, he owns the name, he is the band. The same way that in Metallica, say what you will, but it's Lars and James. And I'm not saying Kirk is a hired gun. The guy's been there nearly from the beginning. But I'm not saying he's a hired gun. But let's face the facts. The band is Lars and James.
True.
Right? Everybody else is replaceable. And everybody else, to a certain extent, regardless of what you would call them, is technically a hired gun.
Damn.
Trujillo for sure. Kirk, you can make the argument. Trujillo for sure. You know? If things didn't work out, okay, let's bring another bass player. There's no way Lars or Kirk turns to James and says, James, we got to get rid of Lars. Or Lars, we got to get rid of James. If there's no James and if there's no Lars, there's no Metallica.
Yeah.
But the other two
are replaceable.
Damn. I think that's the point, right? The same thing with I said with Megadeth. Megadeth is Dave Mustaine. That's it. That's Megadeth. Everybody else is replaceable.
Everyone else is hired guns.
To a certain
To a
degree.
certain degree. Wow.
I think they are.
Damn. This was an eye-opening episode.
It's an interesting conversation that a lot of people...
It's a very interesting conversation.
A lot of people don't talk about it because there's always this stigma with being
almost
like you being a hired gun. You're not good enough to be in your own band. You're kind of just like, you're good enough to play other people's music, but you're not good enough to make your own music. I think there's a little bit of that stigma.
But it's not true.
I don't think it's true at all. I think it's a personal decision of how you want to make a living. Some people as hired guns make a very good living.
Oh, yeah.
Very good living. Sometimes better than if you're in a full-time band.
Yeah.
Because you could get hired to do better gigs
than what you would in your own band.
100%. What's her name? Nita Strauss, that played guitar for Alice Cooper. Then she went on tour with, I don't know who the singer is, Ariana Grande or whatever. She played guitar, and that's a hired gun.
There was Nuno
Bentecourt with, he had his own band. I'm sure he made more money touring with Rihanna than he did with Extreme.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Having said that, they released a new record last year. But all of these things, it sometimes comes down to the stigma and to what the word gets associated with.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if there's one guy that owns the band,
everybody else is a hired gun.
All right, guys, thank you very much for watching this episode. Let us know your thoughts on this Jeff Loomis situation with Arch Enemy on hired guns. Hit us up in the comment section, and we'll see you all at the next episode.
See ya.